Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. I wanted to cover some of the stuff that Cowboy Crypto and the community were addressing with the Wang Sheng group and this whole Aaron Kaplan and Prometheum thing. Because this guy, the more this guy speaks, the more infuriated I get. The crazy thing is, we know that this guy has inside information, he has inside track, and he's trying to shed light to prove the strength of Chairman Gensler and the SECs and his opinion, not law, his opinion on why he believes certain or majority, or if not all, of the digital asset space except for Bitcoin being securities. So we're going to cover that stuff. So coming over here, Cowboy Crypto saying Wang Sheng and MIT developed a strategic partnership in March of 2018, just 3 months before the Hammond Free Pass speech. At the same time, Gary Gensler arrived at MIT to teach blockchain. So it's just, we talk about that whole coincidence thing, right? There are no coincidences. It says, quote, Wang Sheng Group and MIT made plans to jointly build International Scientific Innovation Center in an advanced institution for applied sciences in Hangzhou. Lu Wanding, chairman and CEO of Wang Sheng Group, said that establishing a pioneering scientific research institute in collaboration with MIT is of profound significance and will be a great contribution to society. So then you come in here. There's connections to everything. These guys aren't idiots, They if they're cohort in this great scheme and this great plan, it's going to be built over years, decades, if anything. Coming over here, a digital asset investor have put up this clip. It kind of just sheds light on this Aaron Kaplan guy, just kind of being just like in my opinion, just kind of odd, off, kind of shady. And I kind of come off arrogant in another one I'm going to show you. But it says these Chinese firms invested in Prometheum because they believe tokens were securities. One has to wonder if China knew the SEC plan all along. So literally what I was just talking about, right? Let's take a quick listen into Aaron talk here.
And how did they become an investor in the first place?
They believed in the concept that tokens were securities, and that the idea that the token financial services ecosystem, I believe, would sort of migrate to one registered under the federal, or one licensed under securities laws. And I believe that their Hong Kong subsidiary, I'm not sure the exact name, Hashkey something, was licensed by the SFC.
He said he's not sure the exact name. Get out of here.
Is one of the firms allowed under the securities laws to trade digital assets.
Okay. And also your broker was Network One Financial, which also has Chinese affiliation. Some of the principals of that company are also principals of Network One Financial China, which is a consulting firm for companies seeking to do business in China or Chinese companies seeking to enter the US market. Network One Financial has also been the subject of 18 regulatory events, 1 civil event, and 4 arbitrations. And a few of those include the notorious Long Island Iced Tea Company, which pivoted to Long blockchain and was subject to an SEC enforcement action. So how did Network One Financial become your broker?
Network One was our placement agent in a capital raise.
And how did that happen?
Basically, there was a relationship form where they agreed to raise capital in order and basically take a commission. It's like any other placement agent.
How did you find them?
Network One has been on Wall Street for a long time, to my understanding.
You see, just like the air gets straight up, Laura Shin, she could have definitely hit harder. I was listening to more clips of this interview here. She could have actually, been more direct and tried to get more specific answers as she is here with other stuff. But this one was good because it literally shed light on it. Like, just look at them smiling and just the arrogance. It's like, we're not idiots, man. We know that there's shadiness and all the behaviors and the connections, right? We're connecting the dots ourselves. Speaking of, Chairman Gensler and the SEC and his view on, tokens being securities, right? We're talking about the spot Bitcoin ETF, right? It should have been years now that this thing should have been out, right? Obviously, you have BlackRock coming out now, putting their name in the hat, and there's been speculation saying, is BlackRock going to be the first one approved? Now you're seeing all the dominoes fall. Now you're seeing all these other major corporations, banks, and entities that are filing their spot Bitcoin ETF applications as well, or coming together and creating these exchanges and whatnot. So a lot of moving parts are happening now, right? So John Deaton says, just for the record, in June 2022, I put the odds in Grayscale's favor at 80%. I said from day one that when you have an out of control regulator who is ignoring the law, you must take your chances in court. We will win because Gensler does not honor the law. The approval of leveraged Bitcoin ETF before a spot ETF, it proves Gensler is a bad faith actor. And that's literally something we've been saying in the community for sure. It's like, how can you approve, this leveraged aspect of it, but you won't give a spot Bitcoin ETFs? Like you're allowing, the ability to short, the market in a sense. It's like, it's almost fitting their narrative. Like, let's continue to crush the market, right? Which he's so-called set out to protect, the everyday retail investors, right? To promote capital formation and fair markets, right? But it's like the things that you're approving don't do that. They really hurt. I mean, we become more liquidity in that sense and I say we meaning just like everyday investors and, newcomers coming into the space, right? They just get wrecked. It's crazy, man. But anyways, that's just another component of it. But we're going to tie some more of this stuff in. So here goes another segment of Aaron Kaplan, Laura Shin, and this Rodrigo Sierra. And I just want to take a quick listen into this and kind of chat about it.
He has basically said that almost every token besides for Bitcoin is a security is because it's an application of the law.
I think what you're referring to there are, Gensler's statements about this. And as I'm sure you know, and Laura's audience will know, Gensler's statements do not even speak formally for the SEC, and they definitely don't have the force of law, right?
But then you want to use those statements. You want to use the Hinman statements. You want to say the Hinman statements have the force of law, but the chairperson of the SEC doesn't? It doesn't have a larger implication than what a head of corporate finance says? You're basically contradicting yourself, man.
I didn't bring up the Hinman statements at all, actually. And the one that's contradicting himself is Gensler. We've all listened to the videos where he argues that a lot of the tokens are not securities, and now he's turning around and saying that they are, right? And just to be clear, the law hasn't changed. It's just Gensler's political calculus that has changed. And I think if you drill down on the law, there's two important nuances that you need to understand. You can sell any asset in an investment contract transaction, and then that transaction or scheme is itself a security, right? That's going back to Howey, the seminal case interpreting investment contracts, where a court found that a promoter that was selling interest in an orange grove along with a services contract was issuing a security. But no one in their right mind would think that the orange plots were themselves securities, right? So I think the first step that you're missing, Aaron, is distinguishing between an investment contract and the ultimate object. In this
case, instrument is the security.
In this case, the tokens, right?
And I think the tokens are the security.
The second point that you're missing, Aaron, is that there's zero precedent applying Howey to secondary market transactions, right? In the case of digital assets. If you go outside of digital assets, the only case to ever apply Howey to secondary markets is Hawking versus Du Bois, which is a case dealing with real estate. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one. But it's curious that the SEC in that case actually wrote an amicus brief arguing the diametrically opposed point that Aaron is making and that the SEC is now making, saying that basically in secondary market transactions where there's not an issue, the issuer is not a party to the transaction, there's no contract. So then there can be no investment contract, right?
So Rodrigo, we're not going to agree on the law because we just obviously have different interpretations. Yeah. Wait. But then what is the best way to protect the American public? How is the best way to protect investors?
I think the best way to protect American investors and also keep crypto in the US is to carefully consider the thoughtful legislation that has been introduced in the House and in the Senate, and that, frankly, you're looking to distract from by claiming that we've solved this issue by saying that Prometheum is the path to compliance, when what you have, Aaron, is a license, but you don't have a business.
The reason
I mean, literally just completely just own them, right? The crazy thing is, like, we're not gonna agree. It's like, well, the laws are the law. Just like a fact is a fact. Whether you agree or not, it's still the law, right? What we have lawfully. So it doesn't matter how you think you feel. That's just what we have to go off of, right? And if you talk about, trying to protect investors, right? Yeah, what this gentleman is saying is correct. Like, let's see what has been introduced, right? And let's work towards that. We can even implement something that's just like momentary, if you will, like something that we can kind of implement now, and just kind of evaluate. Give us the ability to make adjustments, along the way if we have to. But at least give us some sort of roadmap or book or guide that these companies and these entrepreneurs and the people within the crypto space can follow, so they can try to do things the right way. I mean, it's crazy that it's just like, oh no, blanket statement, all securities. It's just shameful, man. On some more positive stuff here, Brad Garnerhouse had put this up. This is it says digital asset 2.0 innovation in crypto spring, right? So it says, even if we remain in permafrost in the U.S., what we've seen over this last crypto winter is a refocus on rebuilding for utility and fundamental infrastructure. Always happy to be back at point zero forum. So obviously, man, you the people that have reservations against Ripple, Brad Garnerhouse, Chris Larson, Digital Asset XRP, it's just, it makes no sense. Like, why are these individuals at, I'm not necessarily saying that point zero form is like this massive thing, but I mean, you see Brad Garnerhouse in pictures with, powers that be, connections internationally, global powers. I mean, you're seeing, Ripple's partnerships, who they're onboarding. They're saying they've grown over 8-fold, even despite being under an SEC lawsuit. The writing is on the wall. I don't understand what where that discrepancy or gap is between the logic of people sometimes. But obviously, people are now starting to really see the significance of Ripple versus SEC. People are absolutely starting to open their eyes. You even got, gentlemen like this person here, coming out and stating things that we've been posting in the community for years now. Chairman Gensler at MIT saying 75% of the market are commodities, but now he's saying all of them are securities and stuff like that. Like, stuff is starting to happen more now. Obviously, we're coming to a conclusion and resolution within litigation for us, meaning the XRP community and Ripple versus SEC, or SEC versus Ripple. But, the rest of the community still's got to, keep getting on board and keep fighting the good fight. Speaking of fighting the good fight, John Deaton has this live coming up in 30 minutes. Oh, actually, he says 30 minutes, but I think it's happening at noon, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look. Yeah, I think it's at noon, so it's about a minute my time. But yeah, make sure you go in and you check this out. It says Ripple waiting on a decision. So, hey, we're getting toward the conclusion of ours there. But make sure you come to the Crypto's Key Conversation YouTube channel. Subscribe, follow us at Twitter. Crypto's Key 1. I really appreciate your support out there. With all that being said, stay strong out there and be safe.